Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're going to break ground on a new band, Joy Division. This is a band that I'm very familiar with from my late teens. I was a big Joy Division fan. These days, you can see Joy Division on YouTube, but back then, I had never seen a clip of anything that they had done. Some of their catalog was still buried. I remember having to buy a bootleg to get some of the stuff that finally ended up on their Still album, which I happen to have a copy of right here. It's a double album, essentially not really a best of. This is really more of a compilation of tracks that weren't on their regular albums, and there were a number of them. They had a whole bunch of things that came out on EPs or double singles. I used to have the 12-inch for what we're going to look at today, which is Transmission, and we found what looks like a really good clip of them playing it. That came out sometime a few months after they had put out their first album. Sorry, I'm looking off screen here because I have a number of their records, even from back then. I was a big fan in about 85, I think, with Joy Division. This is Unknown Pleasures. As you can see, it doesn't say anything on the cover, which by this time, which was June of 79, wasn't unusual. It was also the first release for Factory Records, which was their record label throughout their time as a band. Although they put a few things out on other labels too, just little labels. I even had, back in the day, a kind of a fanzine that was put together for Joy Division. This is 1984, this came out. And it's got all the photos in it that they have used ever since on all of the best ofs and reissues and things. Like that, I think, actually is the cover of their greatest hits now, that particular. But it tells their story over the course of time. It's a pretty lengthy book. I mean, let me see. It's even got their entire discography, and you have a collector's chart back here. So you can say, okay, yes, I do have the Atmosphere Dead Souls single that came out and was only on a limited edition of 1,500 copies of this art project when they were blowing up and it was their biggest song for a while. Stuff like that. They never sold a lot while they were a band, but they had this special deal with their friend, Tony Wilson, I think, that put together Factory Records with an inheritance. He would print 10,000 copies at a time of, say, their first album, Unknown Pleasures, and then they'd have to wait until it sold out and the money was back before they could repress it, because they needed that money to repress it. So it was kind of like that. But they also got 2/3 of the proceeds. I mean, the band did, which was about 10 times as much as a band on a major label would have gotten. So that worked out really well for them. Anyway, I didn't want to get too deep, but I did want to just give a little bit of background. Of course, Joy Division did become the New Order later on after Ian Curtis passed away in 1980, shortly after the second album. Ian was a troubled individual, and at age 23, he took his own life on the eve of what would have been their U.S. debut tour. So, things were really looking up for them. But that ended it, and so they regrouped and became New Order after that. Adrian, do you know this song at all?
Not really. I remember some of the records he had.
Yeah, okay. Yep, I still have most of those.
I remember a few songs from those anyway, just a few.
Okay. This is on Joy Division's own YouTube channel. It's labeled as the official music video. Why don't we go ahead and take a look?
All right.
Just staying out the time, touching from a distance, further all the time. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio. Oh, I was called out when the going gets tough. Things you learn are no longer enough. Well, now it's the sound, it's all we need to know. To synchronize love to the beat of the show. And we could dance. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio. Dance to the radio.
Little as I know about Joy Division, this seems to have all the hallmarks of a Joy Division song. At least the ones I've heard anyway. I recognize the drum riff immediately. Pretty much the same with the repetitive bass line. And, the scant guitar riffs and Ian's voice is what I recognized most of all. But
Yeah.
It's all there, though.
I agree. Maybe it's worth mentioning how they got started as a band, because what you said, really, that's exactly their trademark, are all of those things that you mentioned. This was a group of guys that decided to become musicians after they saw the Sex Pistols. Okay, so they are from the Manchester area. They really liked David Bowie's Low album. Okay, Joy Division may well never have existed if the Sex Pistols had not turned the British rock scene around them from its collision course with middle-of-the-road respectability. In the summer of '76, all four of these guys in the band, Ian Curtis, who's the singer, Bernard Dickens, who's also known as Bernard Sumner, was the guitar player, Peter Hook was the bass player, and he's still playing Joy Division today, by the way, and Steve Morris was on drums. They were all 20, they were in boring jobs, so they just thought, we've got to learn how to play these instruments. So they were all novices on their instruments. And so that's part of their sound, is like they're learning how to play, and they're learning together. So they're kind of coming up with their own language with each other, that's kind of limited at first. That's what it was like for them.
Also, just seeing these guys for the first time, too, they're dressed for a day at the office. What's going on?
Yeah, that's funny. I don't know if that had anything to do with the times. I tend to think not, just based on some of the other bands we know about, like the Sex Pistols. I'm really not sure. I know that Ian Curtis also suffered from epilepsy. I don't know that had anything to do with how they were dressed. That also accounts for some of his movements on stage, where he looks a little herky-jerky when he gets going. And he has been known to have seizures. I think he had a seizure on stage at one point, so he had to deal with that.
Pretty tough to deal with, something like that.
But yeah, I really can't speak to their, what they were dressed for. I think they probably just weren't thinking too hard about their stage presence in terms of that. They weren't looking to be an act so much as they wanted to find a way to do the exact music they wanted to do, and quit their office jobs. I think that was the main thing. And people liked what they were doing. So they weren't really following a rule book. I mean, even their record deal was very unconventional at the time, Made their own rule book from start to finish in how to succeed in the music business. It worked for them. They were just about to break really big when Ian Curtis died. They're considered post-punk pioneers. They were a very interesting band, very powerful. The Closer album, you might want to be a little careful of. But other than that, it's really invigorating music, really fun to listen to, and amazing that these guys came up with this stuff when they were just really learning music. I think part of the
uniqueness of their sound comes from that. There's something I like about that line, dance to the radio.
Yeah. It's almost a defiant cry, dance to the radio. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking out the band. I mean, check out the Substance compilation. Just check them out. They've got some good stuff. And folks, if you like Joy Division, why don't you let us know about it below? If you have any of their music, if you were a fan back in the day, anything like that, we'd be interested to hear about it. If you saw them, that would be really amazing. And let us know if you have favorite songs. Maybe we'll check something else out, especially if there's a video now, because this is totally novel to us. Video of Joy Division, that's awesome. So, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one. All right, take care, folks.
See y'all later.